Hey there, welcome to a video discussing day 2 of the 2020 MLB season for daily fantasy sports with a focus on FanDuel and DraftKings. This will also be applicable to Yahoo. My name is Gus Lamashini, and my blog is sportsmanac.com. I also do some work for advanced sports analytics, and we're going to take a data-driven approach to building our lineups for today. Hopefully you checked our video yesterday, which was only a 2-game slate. We did have Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer. Both did pretty well, shortened game obviously. But those were clearly the best pitchers because Kershaw did not play due to a stiff neck, and Dustin May and Cueto were not really great options anyway. And of course, the Dodgers stack did well, but didn't quite have Kiki Hernandez. Sometimes the variance of baseball can get the best of you there. But no doubt he had a great game against the Giants. So here we have an awesome Friday slate. Here we look at the schedule. So we'll cross out the first 3 games. We're going to only focus on the main slate. And so we have Milwaukee at Chicago, Miami at Philadelphia, and then we have a bunch of other games going on today. So it's an 11-game slate. If we look at some of the top pitchers here, Shane Bieber sticks out. Definitely Verlander, FLAHERTY. Another one I'd like a lot is Aaron Nola. All 4 of these guys are pitching at home and are going against weak competition, as you can see there. Probably could do okay with Lucas Giolito. Another interesting one is Bumgarner against Chris Paddock. So if you're looking for some slightly cheaper options, you have those pitchers as well. If you do take a look at ESPN and their odds, you could see the over-unders as well as the money lines. And from there, you can probably gather what the implied run totals are, or you can also go check out a website. Just Google implied run totals, usually Fantasy Labs or Number Fire will give you implied run totals, which kind of still seems kind of confusing me how that's actually calculated, but it's essentially a combination of the run total and then if a team's favored or not favored. So as we see here, the biggest run total for today is the Baltimore-Boston line, and Boston is a heavy favorite, -205. So naturally, Boston would have the highest implied run total. Dodgers are also pretty high. Cardinals are decent. Houston, of course, is always a good one. So those are some of the lines you see. So again, a really great place. Just go espn.com/MLB/lines to get the most up-to-date Vegas numbers. Again, here's my blog, sportsmanac.com. You actually see I've done a write-up this morning for today's slate, and kind of explained some things we learned from yesterday. So definitely take a look at that after you're done watching the video. Or maybe you read that first and watch the video. So I do put the link at the end of this blog piece. Advanced Sports Analytics, another great site. A lot of cool apps. For example, projections, batting order correlation, weighted fantasy points allowed for an opponent, player distributions, which is actually one of my favorite tools. And as the season progresses, those tools will only just get better as we have more in-season data. But let's look at who we like for today. So there are 4 pitchers I like. I'm going to talk about each of those 4 right now. So Justin Verlander will be the first one. So as we see, Verlander is a future Hall of Famer. Had a great season last year. Even though he's 37, it just seems to get better with age. Kind of reminds me of Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson for about 20 years ago. Just still very dominant, 300 strikeouts, which is kind of rare to see these days. Definitely eat up innings, 20-game winner. Plays for a great baseball team. Of course, they cheated, but we won't get into that. Home and away, we don't really see any major difference in the splits there. Day and night games, lefties and righties. So he's as pretty much as reliable as they come, and understandably the most expensive pitcher on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So they are playing the Mariners, so weak opponent. They're in Houston. And you can see his numbers against Seattle last year and 3 years ago. So I didn't put 2018 because he only had, I think, 1 game against him. I think only pitched 2 innings and didn't do too well. So due to the small sample size, we'll throw that one out. So here we have a total of 9 games, record 5-0, ERA really low, 76 strikeouts over 56 6 innings pitched, only 12 walks. So you're talking about 76 divided by 12. That's an incredible, more than 6-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Not really giving up many homers. Opponent batting average really low. So he tends to own this team. The Mariners are not very good. This data here is what you'll find at the Advanced Sports Analytics site. For short, I'll call it ASA. Verlander tends to do pretty well. This is his FanDuel points distribution from last year. The guy is definitely good for anywhere from 50 to 60 FanDuel points. That's where we tend to see his peak. So yeah, I would strongly consider Verlander. Yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but we can make it work, and you'll see my projected lineup at the end of this video. Or you can go to my blog, sportsmanac.com, and you'll see the projected lineups there. Jack Flaherty is another one I like, slightly less expensive than Verlander. He's a rising star. You could see some of his data from the last 3 years. Joined the league in 2017, had a pretty good rookie year in 2018, and really came in his own last year and became the ace. And you can look at his month-by-month data. I mean, the guy was incredible in August, September. I mean, the area is less than 1, and not a small sample size, mind you. I mean, 6 games started in each of those months. So total 12 games, 82 innings pitched, 100 strikeouts, only 17 walks. So that's Verlander type numbers we're talking about, 4 homers. So this guy's a stud. He's going against Pittsburgh, a team he's done very well against the last 2 years. So 7 games started, 44 innings pitched, 51 strikeouts. So definitely over 1 to strikeout to innings ratio over 1. The strikeout to walk ratio is fantastic, only 11 walks. Opponent batting average, again, Pittsburgh's not a very good team besides for Bell. No one really worries me on the Pittsburgh lineup. It's in St. Louis. Again, his distribution here, not as strong as Verlander, but again, this is from last year when he did have some struggles. You could see he had some struggles in June. But besides for that, if we just did a distribution for the last 2 months, it would definitely be much higher numbers. So, and you could see he did have some of those strong games last year. So, yeah, he's a great guy to have. Shane Bieber, another one. So not Justin Bieber's brother or cousin, just no relationship. At least I don't think so. Plays for the Cleveland Indians. And here you're looking at from Baseball Reference. This is his college data, minor league data, and of course major league data. And he's just at every level he's been fantastic. Another thing I like to look at if you haven't been able to tell already is I love looking at strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, look at this one here. In 2017, his first year as a pro. Well, actually, 2016 kind of, but 2017, his first full year as a pro. 162 strikeouts, only 10 walks, 16.2 to 1 ratio. That's crazy. UC Santa Barbara also did great. And really took time to own his craft. You can see here you would play in the summer league. That's, I'm guessing, somewhere in the East Coast where they tend to have that. Just always just working on his game. 82 strikeouts to 4 walks. That was still 2017. If you look at 2018, again, played obviously higher competition, was a AA, then moved to AAA, and then finally made to the show. And still great numbers. The minors, 77 to 7. That's an 11 to 1 ratio. ERA is obviously pretty solid. Last year, definitely did well. Is definitely the ace now. Can't remember some of the pitchers who were the strong pitchers for the Indians. My memory is just not really working great today, but yeah, but still, he's definitely taken over as the ace for this team. If we look at his distribution, again, great. Now he is playing against the Royals. They can be a little dangerous. I didn't put his history against him because they have got to him. So you just have to hope that he will continue his growth today. And again, he's had some great games. Some games not so hot, so you do have to take a little risk. He is cheaper for obvious reasons than Flaherty or Verlander, but still a great option. Here we have Aaron Nola, again, another ace. His splits. He's been in the league for a few years now. Sometimes he has some weird games, but against the Marlins, if you look down below, again, 6 games pitched, 40 innings. Not the best strikeout rate numbers, but definitely doesn't walk many, doesn't give up many homers. Again, he is the cheapest of the 4 I've talked about, but still a great option. Pitches very, very well at home, much better than on the road. So the home away splits, I think, is something you can't ignore. Excuse me. Again, kind of had a weird season last year, but let's hope he actually starts off on a better footing this time around. And again, if you look at his distributions, definitely had some very strong games last year with median 40 and definitely some of the quantiles at 49, 57, and 61. So you can definitely count on him of having a great game against a very weak, one of the worst offenses in the Miami Marlins. Notice I didn't put 2017. That's so these numbers are post Giancarlo Stanton. The Marlins offense has been much different without Stanton. So Stanton would actually get to Nola quite a bit. So without Stanton there, you could expect Nola to continue to dominate the Marlins. On the advanced sports analytics site, you can get projections, as I mentioned. And this is the top pitchers based on a ranking of the predicted fantasy points. And you do see Verlander's number 1, Giolito number 2, Bieber, Nolan, FLAHERTY. Not a big fan of pitching against Minnesota, so I'm going to stay away from Giolito. Plus, I'm not sure if I really trust the White Sox offense to come through against Berrios, because you do want to get the win too if you can. And Verlander, Bieber, Nola, FLAHERTY all have a favorite to win their games. And then if we look at the next slide, you also see by value, just looking at their fantasy points predicted to salary. And Giolito is the best value, so you can definitely roll with him. But Verlander, Bieber, Nola, and down below FLAHERTY are the best options. Personally, I'm going to play Verlander and FanDuel and Bieber and Nola together in DraftKings, and you can make it work. Trust me, you can definitely get a great lineup. So pay up for pitching. Don't go cheap. Usually the first day in the rotation, you're gonna get all the aces. Maybe Sunday or Monday will go cheaper for pitching, but don't skimp on pitching today. Definitely pay up. Now, offenses. Who are we gonna attack? We're definitely gonna attack the Orioles. Tommy Milone is the lowest salary pitcher for today. I believe DraftKings, definitely on FanDuel. So we're gonna naturally go with Boston. Boston is not cheap. They are an expensive stack. But relatively speaking, usually they're more expensive as the season progresses, but they are pretty low price. No bookie bets, so we'll see how they do, but I'm not too worried. JD Martinez and Bogaerts do great against Milone. They're righties. They eat up lefty pitching, and Malone's not great against right-handed batters. We don't expect Milone to last very long, so the bullpen will probably get a lot of work. Baltimore bullpen's also terrible, which we'll see in the next slide. But if you look at Malone's record in Fenway, not good for his career. We see that 4 games. Actually, it might be last year. I think this is last year's data. I'm not 100% sure. I have to double check. But still, nonetheless, really terrible numbers. OPS at 1.16, slugging percent 758. The ISO, if you want to calculate that, is also very high because of 11 homers at Fenway. Also, we see just ERA is just awful. Again, 0 for 3. So we expect them to get tattooed again here today. Orioles, the worst bullpen last year at 5.79 ERA, if you're looking at that. If you do like looking at the more advanced stats like FIP or XFIP, we don't see much regression there. So they were pretty awful. We know the Nationals also were awful, so we can trust the stat. Of course, Nationals had a lot of other things too, and the Nationals won the World Series. But maybe something in the Virginia area. I don't know what it is with bullpens. They don't do well. And just so you get for comparison, like the Astros and Rays have one of the best bullpens, both playoff teams. So like, for example, home run per fly ball, you expect it to be in the low teens and the high teens for Orioles. BABIP is a sign of regression. Once well past 300, you expect it to kind of come down below 300, expecting to come back up for ERA. But again, it was right around 300. So again, this was pretty reliable numbers here. They really don't strike out many people. So the WAR is low. Yeah, Orioles bullpen will get demolished as well as Milone. So who we're going to go with on Boston? Definitely JD Martinez is a great option. Love Martinez. Again, doesn't have bets there, but I mean, look at what he does with left-hand pitching. For his career, last year, I mean, 1.381 OPS. That's crazy. Tends to do well at home. So he's a great home player. This is for his career. And if you look at opponents, definitely has great numbers against the Orioles. ironically has done well against Boston. He did play for Arizona back in the day and other teams. Just does well in his division. I mean, when he was with Arizona, did well against Padres and Rockies, has done well against the Yankees and Orioles. So we like this guy a lot. This is definitely a good player to have on your team. Xander Bogaerts, another great one. Does pretty well against lefties. Really good at home. If you look at last year, had 1.001 OPS. For his career, great at Boston. Again, tends to do better against lefties, even though he's solid against righties. If you look at his game log against Baltimore last year, I left out one of the series in the middle of the season, but at the beginning of the season and end of the season, just had some great games. I mean, if you look at this, 3 for 4 on April 12th, had 1 home and 4 RBIs. That would be huge if you get that today. 1 home and 2 RBIs, September 28th, 3 hits. Some doubles here. So he's been great and a great person to stack with Martinez. Depending on the lineups, perhaps Bogaerts bats 3rd or 5th. Martinez will probably bat 4th. So they could help each other out here. The other stack. So we are going expensive with pitching, right? We're going expensive with our first stack. So we're going to have to save some money. Cardinals are a stack I've liked. They've actually made me some money over the years when you have to save some money, and they can pop off. Sometimes they can go cold, but against Musgrove has not done well against the Cardinals. You can see here his OPS against them, against these hitters, is 919. In fact, it's actually the highest OPS for any pitcher on the slate today. Fowler's done well. O'Neill, Goldschmidt, of course, you want him, 6 for 12. Doesn't really strike out. I mean, 6-3 walk. The strikeout ratio is phenomenal. Matt Carpenter, a lefty against a righty. Not many lefties on the Cardinals, but he's a good one. You got the switch hitters, Molina and Fowler. So again, Edmonds, another one I like. You can really build a nice cheap stack here. If we continue looking at Musgrove, he tends to struggle against a 2 and 6 hitters. And on the ASA, Advanced Sports Analytics site, we do have projected lineups. Or batting lineup, batting orders. Edmonds 2nd, Molina 6th, so that could be a great stack there. We do see the correlation between 2 and 6 hitters last year. Not great, but really solid between 1 and 7 hitters or 1 and 5 hitters. So Colton Wong could be another one with O'Neill if you want to save some money. You see that the 1 hitter does do well. The 1 hitter was usually Carpenter for the Cardinals, so maybe Carpenter pairs well with some of those hitters. A lot of different avenues you could take. The 3 hitter, which will be Goldschmidt, also has a strong correlation with the 4, 5, 6 hitters. So again, some really good options here. I'm going to probably leave out Paul DeJong. His numbers against Musgrove are pretty awful, 1 for 14, as well as Colton Wong. So, I mean, but maybe you get those guys at low ownership. So there's a lot of ways you can mix and match. And again, if you look at his distribution on the ASA site, you can see the little hill here with some really low scores. So Musgrove has had some pretty bad games. So the distribution kind of, it's a nice visual, right? To be able to see that he's had some pretty awful games against the Cardinals. This right here, we're getting close to the end of the presentation. So this is a ranking of some of the top hitters according to the ASA site. You can see Gallo and Bregman. Interesting that Gallo is really high. I mean, he's kind of a boom or bust. Bregman, of course, is going to be one of the more expensive hitters, but a great player for the Astros if you want to go with the Astro stack. But you can see Boston's pretty heavy here, according to these projections using some machine learning techniques. Devers, Chavez, Bogaerts, Martinez. So again, Boston seems to be the way to go here for today. And pretty good prices. These are all FanDuel prices, mind you. If we take a look at some lineups I prepared, so you can make this work. The left is DraftKings, right's FanDuel. So on the left, we have Bieber and Nola. So again, 2 highest priced pitchers. Usually that means you would go cheap on offense, but not necessarily. We have Bogaerts, we have Martinez. Of course, we have Peraza. That's one of the cheap Boston players. We'll see if he gets a start. If not, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe drop down maybe to Chris Paddock for pitching, or maybe find someone cheaper for Boston or St. Louis. But the St. Louis stack is a good one. I'm happy with this one. You got Goldschmidt, you got Molina, you got Carpenter, Fowler, O'Neill. For FanDuel, you can see Fowler's cheap. O'Neill's even cheaper. He's at 2,200. Edmund 2,700. Benintendi, someone you can go with, or if you want to put Devers at third base, but he is cheap, and Carpenter, I kind of like his potential there. Goldschmidt, surprised to see him at 3,500. Martinez is the most expensive one, but if these guys pop off, if we're correct here, you're definitely going to see higher prices. So let's take advantage today. And again, Verlander, Verlander gets a 670 points, and we have great offense. You're probably going to be a top 5 in most of your GPPs. So yeah, that's our presentation for Friday. So happy Friday, enjoy the day. Let's make some money for the weekend, and then we'll check in on Saturday for some of the afternoon games as well as Sunday. All right, have a good one.